Here is a test problem on radical operations. Simplify each of the following. A is minus 4 times square root 51 times 2 times square root 3, and B is 7 plus square root 50 times 3 minus square root 32. And then C is addition, 2 square root 27 plus 3 square root 12 minus 81 square root. Now the idea of having these problems is to check overall techniques of doing radical operations. So I'd like you to solve this and then look into my suggestions. Now from my experience, what I learned is that when you do these kinds of problems, at times you'll end up in more problems. Now if I have to do minus 4 times 51 square root times 2 square root 3, normally what will you do? You'll multiply minus 4 with 2, so you get minus 8, and then you will multiply square root 51 by 3, and you get 3 times 1 as 3 and 3 times 5 as 15. So you get 153. Now you're stuck with a big number here, and really it becomes difficult for you to simplify this kind of a number. So my suggestion is, whenever you're working with square roots, don't really multiply them. Rather factor them. We are actually looking for perfect squares to simplify, right? If you multiply, you're complicating the problem. So I do not suggest this method. Well, you have calculator, you can find square root and get the answer. That's a different story. But what I will prefer to do here is an alternate method, which is I'll do multiply minus 4 times 2, get minus 8. But within the square root, I'll rather factor 51. So 5 plus 1 is 6, so it can be divided by 3. So I'll write 51 as 3 times what? 3 times 17 is 51. You can divide on the side and get it. And when you multiply by 3, you get times 3 within the square root. So instead of writing 153, we are actually writing 3 times 17 times 3. Do you understand? Now from here, 3 times 3 is 9, or you can factor out 3. So you get minus 8 times 3, which is 24, right? Within the square root, you get 17. So that is a simplified answer. I hope you appreciate this method. Now I'd like you to adopt this method and do this multiplication. So in that case, factor them out. So rewrite your question. You can write this question as 7 plus 50 is 25 times 2. Do you understand? 25 square root is 5. So we can write this as 5 square root 2. In simpler terms first, and then multiply. And this is 3 minus 32 is 16 times 2, right? So 16 square root is 4. So I can write this as 4 square root 2. Now if you do distributive property, it'd be much simpler. And you know, square root 2 times square root 2 is 2. So you can get the answer quickly. That's the whole idea. So what I'm emphasizing on is, when you're working with radicals, try to factor them rather than complicate them by multiplying first. Now again, we'll adopt the same method here. What is 27? Look for squares. 27 is 9 times 3, right? 9 times 3 is 27. Why 9 I have taken? 9 is a perfect square. That is why. Plus 3 times 12. 12 is 6 times 2, but we should write 4 times 3, 12. 4 is a perfect square. That is the reason. And 81 is actually 9 times 9. So you can write this in the factored form. Look for factors. And if you can get perfect squares, it is good for you. If not, in the next step you will get. So look for factors and then be simpler for you. Do you see that? So really, this question becomes square root of 9 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. So we get 6 square root 3. Plus square root of 4 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 square root 3. And here, how come we got same thing? Well, that's funny. And 9 times 9 is 9. Right? So that is how you can kind of get simpler radicals to work with. Now we have common radical, which is square root 3. So we can add them. So 12 square root 3 minus 9. That becomes our solution. I hope by following this method, you can really do radical operations very efficiently. I have yet to see somewhere such kind of explanation, and I really struggled with students to get them a good way of doing it, and that is the ultimate. I hope you appreciate it. Thanks and all the best.